Okay, welcome back. So we've spoken there about Rex and all the latest developments. Now, the kind of the intriguing thing is it sounds like the administrator is relatively confident there will be a sale. They've given 5 weeks. We know that there are interested parties. Now, the question is going to be, whoever takes this over, it does seem that there is a market for their Saab 340 flights. It's been going for, 20 years now in its current form of Rex. It was profitable. It survived COVID. Clearly, it was the 737 flights and also supply chain issues, which they've struggled with. Also, a lack of pilots as well. So the problem is, whoever comes into Rex is still going to have those hangover problems. The other issue is their aircraft are really old.
They are.
They are really old. So Alan Joyce. In one of his, when Alan Joyce and John Sharp were having one of their many to and throws, Alan Joyce bit the bait and nibbled at the bait, I should say, and made this comment that the propellers, to quote him, were literally falling off Rex aircraft. Now, that's a little bit unfair. They're not literally, they were perfectly safe to fly. But in order to sort of, I say dumb it down, but in order to give you a kind of snapshot of what's going on, the older your aircraft gets, it can still fly. Obviously, it's like a car. But the older it gets, the more you've got to bring it into service.
Well, now, Adam, cars can't fly.
All right. You knew what I meant. Like a DeLorean, right? The point is, the older it gets, the more often you effectively have to service it, the more likely things are going to go wrong. So the more and more it costs you, which is the reason why, one of the biggest reasons why every 20 years or so, airlines go and buy new aircraft, because it gets to the point where it's costing you more money. The problem is, their entire fleet is now so old that it needs to be renewed. So whoever's going to come in there really needs to have deep pockets to renew that fleet. So they've got two options. They can either buy brand new aircraft with that new plane smell, or they could buy second-hand aircraft, which are essentially not quite as old, which is not actually that unusual. But then even doing that is going to be difficult because we've got a shortage of aircraft. So when you're going to need someone to come in with deep pockets, secondly, you need to acquire these things. So whoever comes in and buys this is going to be in for a challenge. The other issue as well is whoever comes in, would they retain that executive team? We don't know how much about flying 737 flights was John Sharp's brainchild or was Lim's brainchild. We don't know. You would think that John Sharp's knowledge and his current team's knowledge would be invaluable to keeping that going. What's your view on this, Rex? Because Rex, what's the view on Rex, Jake? Do you think they're going to be able to do it? Because whoever's going to come in is going to have a challenge, and without wanting to poo-poo the excellent service they provided, there's not quite the glamour of owning a 737 airline. There's not the glamour of that. You are doing the nitty-gritty of getting people in regional Australia to towns. I mean, are they going to attract the right kind of buyer?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm looking now at Rex's Saab fleet. They got 55 Saabs. There's got to be at least half of them almost as old as I am. Like some of them are older. Some of them are older than I am. And I'm 32. So
great age.
Yeah, it's
We're not
fantastic age.
How old I am.
Yeah, a lot of these aircraft are really, really old, and like there's not one that's younger than 25. I'm looking at. I think the youngest I can see here on this list is 26 years old, which
in
is
human years is like 75.
Yeah, it's not fantastic. And as you were saying, part of the reason that they were having so much trouble in the regional operations, it's not that the regional operations weren't profitable. It's that the planes were so often grounded because it was so hard to get parts. These old planes, it's so hard to get components for them. So definitely whoever comes in is going to have a serious look at fleet renewal. Now, I think Qantas is ditching a lot of its... Qantas Link is moving to an all Q400 fleet. So maybe they could pick up some of the Q2s and Q3s. I'm not sure off the top of my head how old those are, but you want to think that whoever comes in is going to start looking at, maybe new ATRs or new Dash 8s or something like that to keep... To refresh the fleet, because sooner or later the plane reaches the end, is going to reach the end of its life cycle. Another question is, I mean, what's going to happen with NJE? National Jet Express does have a bunch of Dash 8s and a handful of E190s. Could whoever comes in cannibalize any of these planes from the NJE fleet, in which Rex holds a controlling interest in NJE?
The other thing to consider is that what's quite unique is these are essential flights.
Yeah.
These towns need those flights. If you take those flights away, those towns are in a world of trouble because obviously business people need to fly into the city for business. People that are going on holiday to these areas, they need to fly there. This is essential. You cannot take those flights away. So at the moment, and I don't think we know the exact details, but it does seem that the government is kind of underwriting or helping Rex right now keep those flights going. If nobody comes in for Rex or nobody is able to stand that up, there is a very good argument here, and you bloody love a bit of nationalisation. There is an argument here that the federal or state government or somebody is going to have to come in because this is essential infrastructure, basically.
Yeah, I mean it's like a bus, isn't it?
No, buses don't fly. There you go.
But they do if it's an Airbus.
Oh, yeah, all right. Oh, yeah. To be fair, that was brilliant. That was brilliant. For those of you not watching this, the smirk on his face, I've never seen him smile that wide before. Yeah, you got me there. Yes.
Anyway.
You got me there. Go on.
So Rex is, I was going to say, there was already signs of Rex cannibalizing the NJE fleet a little bit because they were using the NJE E190s to do their very short-lived Adelaide to Perth service. So, possibility. But getting back to what you said, yeah, it seems like there's a big argument for the government at least taking a stake in Rex to make sure that Rex doesn't fail because it's, as you say, they need these flights. And there's no, aside from maybe Qantas, there's no real other alternative airline that has the fleet, that has the reach to come in and step in where Rex has failed. There's a collection of smaller airlines. You've got Fly Pelican, you've got Link Airways, you've got Skytrans, you've got Nexus out west. You've got all these little smaller airlines, but they don't have the reach. They don't have the planes that you would need to fill all of these routes that Rex is serving with its 55 Saabs.
Yeah, and 55 Saabs is a lot to replace. That's going to cost quite a lot of money. So the argument kind of against Rex, I know you can make this argument against Qantas and also Virgin as well, is they put off fleet renewal for far too long.
Yeah.
You could, and obviously it's not easy, it costs a lot of money, but this is something you would argue that Rex should have been thinking about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and they weren't, or they weren't able to. Same accusations have been levelled against Qantas as well, that their fleet is too old, particularly their international fleet. You put these decisions off, it leads to a world of trouble. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Just to wrap up the Rex chat, and this is something that we should have said last week. If you do work at Rex, our condolences go out to you. A very, 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 very difficult time for everybody working for the airline. I know some people have been let go. Some people are still carrying on with the services they're running. But it is a very, very, very difficult situation. Our hearts do go out to you. And we joke, we know that there's a human impact there. A lot of people that listen to this that read the website.
The same with Bonza.
Exactly. These are actual people's lives. And if you are if you're working for Rex, it's hard enough anyway when you get made redundant and you lose your job. It's even harder when it's a national news story because you're under all that pressure, all that stress, your money's being cut off potentially. You go home, you turn on the news, all you see is Rex. It makes it that bit more difficult. So our hearts do go out to you.
And I hope they do get they do get some help from the government.
Yeah, exactly. Because actually one of the things, and we said this last week, you won't find many people that flew with Rex that had a bad word to say about them. Actually, everybody that flew Rex said that the service was absolutely outstanding.
And Rex and Bonza, as we said last week, consistently almost, with the exception of Bonza in December, but consistent almost all the time at the top of the reliability tables.
Exactly. And also, if you are a senior executive at Rex, I know it's very difficult for you to speak at the moment. I know John Sharp, I think, is I might have given one interview or limited interview. John, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, we know you're a friend of the show. Feel free to come on this show. We'd love to chat to you, get your sort of side of the story.